What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Fireside Giants. I'm your host, Anthony Rivardo, joined by my co-host, Alex Wilson. And training camp is over. The Giants have officially wrapped. There's going to be no more public practices for the rest of the season. That's how you know football is finally here. They had their second and final joint practice with the New York Jets today, of course, in preparation for Saturday night's Giants versus Jets preseason week 2 game. Reminder, we will be live here on Fireside Giants doing the play-by-play and immediate reaction to Giants versus Jets. So stay tuned and tune in to that live stream on Saturday night. But today, we're going to be recapping this joint practice with the Jets, giving you guys our takeaways, who stood out, who had a good day, who maybe had a bad day, and who was absent. Because I think that's honestly the biggest storyline here has been the absentees over the last couple of days. It's kind of strange, Alex. Some of these players that the Giants have who are in the most do or die stages of their career are not practicing. And that's been a trend. Like Jalen Hyatt. Yes, he did return to practice today, but he did not compete in the team drills, just doing some stuff on the side in one-on-ones and all that stuff. And then Deonte Banks, do or die, needs to compete well. Giants have him in the CB2 battle, not practicing, picked up an injury. So there's a lot going on with the Giants right now. Some of it is a little bit questionable with these injuries and the way that these players are being managed. But Alex and I are not going to fight each other about Malik Neighbors today. He was at practice, did not practice, but he was there in full pads, which is a good sign for him to return to practice soon, or maybe even potentially play in Saturday's game. But we will see if the Giants decide to let him do that or not. But that's the update on Neighbors. And now we'll go ahead and dive into our takeaways from this joint practice. Alex, how are you doing today, my friend? And what stood out to you the most from today's joint practice with the Jets?
I'm doing pretty good, man. And yeah, I mean, the defensive line continues to stand out to me, and pretty much everybody with eyes. Brian Burns dominated, Abdul dominated, Dexter Lawrence dominated. Like, these guys are just unstoppable. For the most part, I think this is going to be one of the best defensive lines in football. It might be a special unit, like one that we haven't seen in a long time. It gives you those OC Strahan, like Tuck vibes. But I honestly wouldn't even be surprised if they could be better than that. Like, that's how optimistic I am on how good these guys are. Abdul Carter, I'm seeing some pretty well-known analysts say that like he might be, I don't even want to say it because I don't think it would take an astronomical amount of quality to achieve this. But I've seen people say that he looks better than Micah Parsons. And I don't want to write that story because it's far from written. But if he even comes close to being as good as Micah Parsons, the Giants have an all-pro level player on day one on their hands. And he is playing like it in practice, right? It's going to translate to games. You saw glimpses of it over the 3 pass rush snaps that he had. He had three pressures on 3 snaps. I mean, he dominates everybody he sees. He has unbelievable bend. He'll beat you inside. He'll beat you outside. He can play wide 9. He can play interior. He can play off the edge. He can do whatever you want. Like, this is a weapon, a complete weapon. And the Giants haven't had a guy like this in a long, long time. Like, maybe not since Lawrence Taylor, where you could just put him anywhere and he's going to destroy his opposition. Game-changing type of talent, elite level tier talent. Brian Burns, he's been working really hard this offseason. I think there was a quote today, trying to take his game to the next level, get to that elite tier as well. If the Giants have 2 elite edge rushers on their team this season, not only is it going to help the defense, but the offense is going to be singing their praises all year. Not to mention you have the best defensive tackle in football in Dexter Lawrence, who soaks up double teams. You can only double team one guy. You know what I mean? Like, the Giants have an embarrassment of riches. It just gets me excited. And honestly, week 1 rolls around. That's what I'm going to be most intrigued by.
That's what everybody's intrigued by, the Giants' defensive line and their pass rush, which has looked legit. You started off the praise there with Abdul Carter, and I'll obviously repeat that. He looked like a menace today. He looks like a menace every day. Alex, my favorite thing is today I read that Abdul Carter lost a rep to Jets offensive tackle Max Mitchell. On the next rep, came and just dominated him. Like, he was pissed off. He's like, man, I finally lost the rep. Are you kidding me? Nah, I got to kill you. That's how it was. That's how the vibes were with Abdul Carter, and that's what you love to see. If he gets beat, he's going to come back and he's going to hit you harder. So I love that mentality from Abdul Carter. And yes, his get off is insane. The speed that he has. I did the film breakdown on the channel a couple days ago. Guys, go check that out if you want a little bit more of a closer look at the all-22 behind the scenes for Abdul Carter. You'll just see freakish athlete, insane balance, but it's the speed and agility that he has to size up these offensive linemen and just go right by them. He's truly impressive. But you know what? Brian Burns is impressive too. And that's who I really want to hand some praise to because he flashed today. I mean, he was in the Jets backfield all day long. Plenty of would-be sacks, constantly flushing Justin Fields out of the pocket, pressuring him on his passing attempts. Brian Burns is a player who I think kind of went under the radar for some Giants fans last season because he didn't go for double-digit sacks. He didn't have this big statistical output in 2024, but you have to keep in mind last season, the Giants defense was really bad. There were a lot of holes all over that team. Brian Burns was playing through injuries. Kayvon Thibodeau missed time due to injuries. Azeez Ojulari missed a lot of time due to injuries, and so did Dexter Lawrence. So for the most part, the Giants pass rush featured a one-man show of a partially healthy, I think is how you describe him, Brian Burns. He was banged up throughout that season. So banged up Brian Burns was running the show. I think that he didn't get enough credit for how hard he played last year, how much dedication went into going in and game out, making 17 starts and being as productive as he was. And again, no, he didn't hit double-digit sacks. He wasn't the most productive player. But if you really watch what he does on a play-by-play basis, if you turn on the game replays and you just watch him solely, or if you flip on the All-22, he is the guy that was soaking up all of those double teams last year for the Giants. He is the guy that was disrupting things in the running game and setting the edge. Brian Burns was an underappreciated player, in my opinion, in 2024. But now that he has some of these talented pieces around him, and let's hope they all stay healthy so that we don't have a repeat of last year, but I think that he's going to shine really bright this season. You're going to see a less double-teamed Brian Burns, a more one-on-one blocked Brian Burns, and a more productive Brian Burns as a result. I think that he has the power and the ability and the speed and athleticism, all those things, to beat just about every single offensive lineman that he lines up against. He just needs a better opportunity to achieve that. And I think he gets that opportunity this season playing opposite or alongside, since they move him around so much, Abdul Carter. So I'm expecting a big year from Brian Burns and really encouraged to hear that he was disruptive as heck today versus the New York Jets at joint practice. Alex, what are your thoughts on the way Brian Burns has looked this summer?
I mean, so far, so good. Last year, you mentioned really underrated piece on this team. I know they gave him $141 million, but truth is he played through multiple injuries last year just to be around, despite the fact that this team was dead in the water. They had nothing to play for. Brian Burns showed up every week and gave his best effort. I know just being paid that much alone warrants that type of effort, but I've seen many players give up when their teams fail, and he doesn't do that. And I can give a lot of respect. And I think he's excited about the idea of playing with Carter, playing with Dexy, and, playing with an offense that has Russell Wilson and Neighbors and so much more talent. Like, it's going to inspire everybody. Not to mention, what Jackson Dart just said about the offensive line, which really got me hyped because I'm like, holy crap, like, the offensive line is going to die for this guy. Like they're going to go all out for Jackson Dart because he appreciates them and respects them and goes out of his way, to give them some credit, whatever. Those little things go a long way. They're human beings. These offensive linemen, they might be 350 pounds, but they're human beings. And, the mental component of being a good player is half the battle sometimes. If you have no confidence, ask Deonte Banks. Dude, that's all the talent in the world, but he has no confidence in himself right now. And he's playing like it. But imagine he was uber confident, really, really leaned on his training. I bet you he wouldn't be as, I guess, off as he is at the moment in practice. So, love to see what's happening with this Giants team, the galvanizing efforts, Brian Burns taking these young guys like Carter under his wing and just teaching him how to be pros. Abdul Carter is a very humble guy, very quiet. But, there's a lot to learn when you get to the NFL level, the preparation, how to, kind of prepare your body for a full season. And Burns is kind of helping him, and Dexter Lawrence is helping him kind of navigate these early challenges. So that way he can be an elite player from the jump. And right now, the Giants have the potential to have 3 elite players of 4 in the trenches, right? And obviously their second defensive tackle and whoever that might be, Darius Alexander, Roy Robertson Harris, and, DJ Davidson, a whole bunch of guys there, Raheem Nunez-Roche, they're not elite by any means, but when you have 3 elite players, nothing else really matters. Like, they are going to make an impact. They're going to wreck a game. They're going to create a moment in a critical situation. And, I'm really excited to see how Burns elevates his game and how everybody elevates their game and just sets this new benchmark, sets this new standard where, this defense could be a top 5 unit, in my opinion.
It certainly has a potential to be. I think the number one thing that's going to hold back this defense, if anything does at all, is going to be the offense, right? Just the offense has to sustain drives this year. I think that was a big part of the problem last year. The defense had a lot of talent this past season in 2024, but still didn't rank all that highly because they were on the field constantly, and it was really difficult for them to actually be an effective unit. But I think it's going to be better this time around because I do believe in the Giants offense to sustain some drives here and there now that they have some competency at the quarterback position. So looking forward to that. But you mentioned, Alex, the defensive tackle spot, alongside Dexter Lawrence, there's supposed to be two other starting interior defensive linemen, although realistically the Giants are going to run a lot of nickel, and Abdul Carter is probably going to be one of those interior defenders alongside Dexter Lawrence. But let's think about their base defense. Who is going to man the interior with Dexter Lawrence? Right now, Roy Robertson Harris does seem to be the guy who's going to take that job. He's probably played the best of all those guys competing in the group so far this summer. But DJ Davidson's actually been pretty disruptive. He made some plays at today's practice. He had a big, violent sack on Saturday versus the Buffalo Bills. But Darius Alexander, I know some clips went viral on social media, or at least in the Giants' Twitter sphere today, because he didn't look his best on Saturday against the Bills. But I just want to remind everybody not to overreact to that. He's a third-round pick. He's a guy who needs to develop, and he was injured in the spring. So he's behind, and he's working his way back. He's a little bit rusty, probably a little bit out of shape, but he's still a good player. I don't think he got completely manhandled on those reps either. I just think he didn't do anything against the Bills that really stood out. I thought he was just fine, which is honestly a good thing for a rookie. If you're just fine in your first NFL debut as a rookie, I think you can live with that. There's a solid foundation for Darius Alexander to build on there. It's not like he was glaringly bad. I think what's happening here is Giants fans are seeing the immediate flash success of Abdul Carter, the immediate flash of success in his first preseason game with Jackson Dart and Marcus Bowe from the 5th round being a surprising flash player, instant impact player. I think Giants fans are seeing that. And because Darius Alexander isn't necessarily exceeding all expectations like these other guys, there's a little bit of disappointment surrounding him, but I don't think that's necessarily fair. He's a third-round pick, and he needs time to develop. But what I'll say before I hand it over to you, Alex, I love the way that Dexter Lawrence has taken Darius Alexander under his wing. The mentorship there has been evident so far, because I did that interview last month with Mark Hall, renowned defensive line trainer who's worked with Lawrence for the last 4 years. He's worked with Christian Wilkins and a bunch of other phenomenal defensive tackles around the NFL. Over the last 20 years, he's been coaching players in the league. He said that Dexter Lawrence brought Darius Alexander out with him to Clemson this summer to train with Mark Hall, until he really took him under his wing. And then I saw today Patricia Train of Sports Illustrated saying after nearly every single drive over on the sideline, you'll find Dexter Lawrence coaching up basically Darius Alexander. So that mentorship, I think, is incredible. I think it's a testament to Dexter Lawrence's leadership. It's why he's such a special player for the Giants, not only on the field, but on the sideline and off the field. He's a very important piece of this puzzle, and I think that he's going to push Darius Alexander, this young rookie, to be even better. But Alex, I just want to get your general thoughts on Darius Alexander. Again, disappointing game on Saturday, but you know what? He's a rookie, and he's a third-round rookie, and he's got all the time and all the resources afforded to him to succeed in due time.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the Giants are getting results from their rookies already from multiple, kind of angles here. Carter looks elite. Jackson Dart really inspired what I've seen from him. Obviously, we haven't seen much as Cam Scatterbo yet. Marcus Bowe looks really solid. Like, they're getting a lot more than you'd bargain for from a rookie class already. Darius Alexander, there's no reason to rush him because the Giants beefed up in the trenches with more depth for this reason. Roy Robertson Harris, DJ Davidson, Raheem Roche. They have so many names, so many bodies. Jordan Riley, like, there's so many bodies there. And the truth is like Darius Alexander, there's no rush. And another layer to that equation, Anthony, that I might add is Abdul Carter's playing inside too, man. Like, they don't even need that second defensive tackle half the time because they're using Carter on the interior. So, Alexander's role is far from defined. You mentioned he had an injury earlier this training camp, so he's still trying to catch up and, kind of get up to speed. But obviously want to see more of that explosion he displayed at Toledo. You want to see more, of that upper body strength, to be able to move people with his hands, with his hand placement and that technique. It looked very stagnant, looked very undeveloped and very unrefined. But, it's still very, very early. He had a sack yesterday. We just want to see stack good days, get better, improve, lean on his training, increase his stamina. He could have been completely wiped after the first drive, having just kind of came back from that injury. So there's a lot of different things we probably don't know. And I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. One bad game or one game that wasn't necessarily noteworthy is not going to deter my confidence in him. We've gone a lot longer having confidence in players that, like, Banks is a good example of that. We're into year 3 and he hasn't really done that much, but I still have confidence in him. So, Alexander certainly deserves a lot of time. The Giants have plenty of depth, plenty of pieces that can compensate in the meantime. And we'll be watching him, but this is definitely a work in progress.
Yeah, work in progress. And again, I caution to even say it was a bad performance on Saturday because I don't think it was. I think it was fine. It was plainly average, but because he had all these other rookies looking great, his average looks bad, essentially. And some of those rookies that looked great, we've already talked about. But you did mention Deonte Banks, Alex, and I want to talk about him because this is a really inopportune time to be injured, to be missing practice reps. I mean, the Giants have made it abundantly clear that they do not view him as the starting cornerback of this team. They view him as a guy who's competing for a chance to be the starting cornerback. And honestly, now that we've heard some kind of whispers from different reporters that they could potentially get in the market for a cornerback, every day that Deonte Banks doesn't practice, that seems more and more likely. In fact, Alex, I really think that they should go into free agency and sign another cornerback because with Banks injured, Flott didn't play on Saturday because he's picked up some undisclosed injury too. Not only am I not confident in this group to have a quality CB2, but I'm also concerned about the injuries of this group at the CB2 position. We need to have some depth there. And I don't think the Giants have a ton of depth at cornerback. Yes, they have guys who've made plays in in training camp like D. Williams and Art Green, but seriously, Alex, do we want those guys starting regular season games for us? I don't think so. I'm getting to the point where the Giants, I think, should be proactive and should go out there and seek some help at cornerback just because mainly the injuries. But again, this is just a really crappy time for Deonte Banks to be missing time. I mean, he really needs to put in some good reps here. That's why Brian Dable said he played the entirety of the first half on Saturday because he needs to work. And I agree. Banks needs to work and he needs to start proving that he can be a starter this upcoming season. But he's not going to be able to do that if he's not taking the field. So, Alex, how are you feeling about Deonte Banks? And how are you feeling about the Giants potentially adding some talent at cornerback?
Listen, Banks, you're right. Just same thing with Hyatt, same thing with Evan Neal. Got to get your asses out there, man. Got to get healthy because you can't get better. You can't claim a job if you're not available. Cordell Flott, I believe, was out there today, if I'm not mistaken. I think he played today. So he's out there and he'll probably play on Saturday too. And, the Giants need Banks to take big steps forward, not just steps, but big steps forward. And, this is a critical moment in his career that will probably define his upcoming season over the next couple of weeks. But yeah, when it comes to free agency, when it comes to available pieces, cut candidates, teams always cut decent players. Always. We got Jason Pinnock, as a guy that came from the Jets. So, he was a decent starter for us for a season. Then last year was maybe slightly below average. But, you never know what you're going to stumble upon, even if it's a veteran. Maybe guys that they don't want to pay. There's dead money. They want to get off the books or they want to free up some money elsewhere. Guys shake free. And I do think the Giants will have a decent opportunity to grab an experienced veteran. I think if you're going to go get somebody, go get a veteran though. Like don't bring in somebody that's inexperienced or, maybe had a good camp, but has never played before, like a, late round draft pick or UDFA that's been kind of fighting. Go get somebody that like has starting experience. And if in a pinch, you could elevate and he could help this team. So like, that's kind of where I'd be looking. Problem is the Giants don't actually have any money. So it'd have to be very, very cheap. It'd have to be a veteran minimum deal essentially. And you're not getting starters on that contract, but you might be able to find competency with one of those slots. So that's kind of what I'd be targeting once roster cuts come around.
Yeah, I think definitely that's where the Giants need to be proactive on the waiver wire. And if I'm not mistaken, they're pretty freaking high up on the waiver wire, right? Since they were 3-14 last season, I think it should be where their draft pick was. So they should be third in waiver priority. So they should have a good opportunity to land some sort of talent. I don't think they get a starting CB2 level talent, but at least some depth there at cornerback. But also, hey, you never know because like you said, Alex, sometimes some talented players do shake free on waiver cut wire day. So we'll see. But I want to talk about Jalin Hyatt now, Alex, because I wrote an article today, actually just before we went live here. And I wanted to just kind of explain why I feel like Jalin Hyatt's roster spot is up for grabs. This is a guy that the Giants clearly had some confidence in as a rookie. They traded up for him. They sacrificed several draft picks to move up in the third round and take him. Former Fred Biletnikoff Award winner, was a dominant force, speedster at Tennessee. Rookie season, they clearly wanted to make him a thing, right? They wanted to make him a key component of their offense, but they didn't have the quarterback personnel to maximize him in the first half of the year. Second half of the year, Tyrod Taylor got in there. He started to get some shots. He started to make some plays downfield. He had those 2 plays with Daniel Jones against the Cardinals, but after that went dormant for most of the year until Tyrod Taylor came in. But last year, this was supposed to be an expansion year for Jalin Hyatt. Do more, be better, get involved in the underneath portions of the field. Wasn't able to do that. Apparently, has a conflict with the coaching staff, falls out of favor. That's why he didn't play much last season. Also suffered an injury at some point last season. And now here we are hoping to see him have a big summer and a big preseason to fight his way back and get a role in this offense. And he's barely even played. He's been injured in half of the times that the Giants have been practicing. He didn't play in Saturday's preseason game. He's honestly not even made that many great plays this summer anyway. Like, he's had a few moments here or there, but if I got to tell you, I think that little Jordan Humphrey has made way more plays this summer. He's constantly been making plays. And you know what? He was healthy and ready to go in the preseason, and he was the recipient of Jackson Dart's first career touchdown pass. That was supposed to be Jalen Hyatt's touchdown. Jalen Hyatt was supposed to be out there. He's the speedster on the outside, and he's not on the field. And I am starting to worry that his roster spot is on the bubble. I'm not entirely convinced that the Giants are going to hold on to a spot for Hyatt when they have all these other guys like Humphrey, like Montrell Washington has been making plays, like Bo Collins, like Zach Pascal had a one-handed touchdown grab yesterday in joint practice. A lot of these receivers are out there making plays, and Jalen Hyatt is standing on the sideline watching. And when he is on the field, he's not making the same number of plays. So, Alex, I want to get your take on it. Do you think that his roster spot is in jeopardy? Because I'm starting to think that it is.
I mean, you're talking about a player who has not made an impact in any of his first two seasons, barely, right? Doesn't have a touchdown, I believe, to his name yet, and is currently not healthy enough to practice, and he hasn't made any appearances in the preseason yet. We don't know if he'll play this week. He has zero chemistry with Jackson Dart, who's the future of this team. His roster spot is absolutely in jeopardy right now. He is absolutely a trade candidate. The Giants have some really, really interesting UDFA players that are even more experienced with Montrell Washington who have made an impact this year, right? Lil Jordan Humphrey had a touchdown with Jackson Dart on a perfect go ball. Like, that chemistry, that timing is there. You know what I mean? Bo Collins has special teams value. It was really good earlier in camp before he was dealing with an injury. When we were there, he was on the side doing some extra work because he was dealing with something. But he had a couple nice catches today, including a deep ball from Jackson Dart. Jalen Hyatt, buddy, your job is on the line. Like, I don't think that his situation with the Giants it's on the border of being irreparable. You know what I mean? I don't think that he's going to be able to, like, why does he deserve to step back into a role that he's never earned? You know what I mean? If Jalen Hyatt is healthy, I mean, he is, for all intents and purposes, until proven otherwise, he's a one-trick pony. He is a deep threat. That is it. As far as I know, as far as I've seen, he's a one-trick pony until proven otherwise. I don't give a shit he added 15 pounds this offseason. I haven't even seen him on the field yet. You know what I mean? So I need to see him available, showcasing more crispy routes. I need to see a lot more from him in many different variables of this game. So when you're looking at the players who are available and actually performing, actually scoring touchdowns and actually developing chemistry with the future of your franchise in Jackson Dart, that is tangible value. The rest of what Jalen Hyatt has done so far is just projections. And projections, my friends, don't mean jack shit. I am tired of hearing this guy's going to do this guy's going to do that. Oh, he could do this. But that's what we've heard for the last 6 years, and it resulted in 3 and 14 seasons. You know what I mean? I'm tired of projections. I'm tired of talking. I'm tired of this and that. I want action. I have seen action from Montrell Washington, action from Daquan Feldon, action from Bo Collins, action from Lil Jordan Humphrey. Like, there is a lot more to grab onto of film that we've seen this offseason on those guys. So absolutely, Jalen Hyatt, buddy, your job is on the line because other guys are playing, other guys are developing, other guys are practicing and showing that they have chemistry with Jackson Dart. And that is so important to me. So am I ruling Jalen Hyatt out of this equation? Not yet, because the preseason is not over yet. He has time to get back on the field and make a late run and make a late kind of push towards being an impact piece. But right now, he is falling behind. And anyone that doesn't think that's a fact clearly is not watching the other guys ball out, because that's really where our opinion, if they all suck, to be a different opinion, to be a different perspective. But these guys are playing well. So absolutely right now, he's got to get his shit right, because he's on the border of being cut or traded, if not within the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I also think that it's worth noting on the Giants' unofficial depth chart. Of course, they had Malik Neighbors listed as the number one receiver and had Darius Slayton listed as the number two receiver in terms of the outside guys. Wandale obviously in the slot. But behind Malik Neighbors on the depth chart, Alex, it wasn't Jalen Hyatt. It was little Jordan Humphrey. So he was the backup to the first team wide receiver, and Jalen Hyatt was the backup to Darius Slayton, the second wide receiver with the first team. So I don't know. The way I look at that, you could also say, hey, it's because old Jordan Humphrey is an X and, Slayton's a Z, maybe Hyatt's their Z, but I kind of look at it as little Jordan Humphrey's already ahead of him in this race for a roster spot. So if the Giants can get a pick for Jalen Hyatt, I think they definitely should consider it on the trade block. But we'll see. There's still time, like you said, and I don't want to give up on Jalen Hyatt just yet. I like him, and I think that he's got potential. I just got to see it. I got to see some of that potential come to fruition. But Alex, before we do wrap up here, let's talk about another one of these rookies who's really stood out this summer. I mean, constantly making his presence known every single practice and in that preseason game. You already know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Marcus Bowe. I went crazy when the Giants drafted Marcus Bowe in the 5th round. I thought that was the steal of the draft to that point. And honestly, it's looking like it could be because he has been excellent for the Giants. He's played right tackle, he's played left tackle, and he's done both at a high level. And today he looked great at right tackle once again, going up against a Jets defensive front with some quality pass rushers, including Will McDonald, who had double-digit sacks last year, former first-round pick. Jermaine Johnson not practicing, but still, they've got some other guys who are really talented on that defensive front for the New York Jets. And Marcus Bowe just out there handling it business and hanging in there and doing his thing. I really like Marcus Bowe, and I'm really impressed with the way that he's developed so far. Alex, how are you feeling about that? And how important and exciting would it be if the Giants finally hit on a mid to late round offensive lineman draft pick?
You don't understand what Marcus Bowe represents. Not just the future of possibly being a starter, but Marcus Bowe represents the breaking of a bad omen that some, like in Mayan cultural freaking, I don't even know, sun god put down on the Giants to suck at developing offensive linemen for the last 10 years, even longer potentially than that. We something happened. I know exactly what happened. I'm not going to say it. I know exactly what happened. And now suddenly the Giants have a piece here that could be something. And he's a 5th round pick and he dropped. And it kind of came to me, when the draft was unfolding, Anthony, the Giants never get lucky when it comes to good players falling for no reason, falling right into their lap. The Eagles always pull it off. Nolan Smith and all these different players, guys just fall into their lap. They draft good players. You know what I mean? Like, holy shit, this guy's in the 2nd round. He should be a mid-first round pick, but something happened where he just fell. And the Eagles like, oh, this guy's a good player. I'm drafting him, win the Super Bowl. Giants now, Marcus Bowe, why is this guy in the 5th round? He should have drafted in the 3rd round. Draft him. Take him. And we did. And now look at him. He's kicking some serious ass, man. You look, Evan Neal's away from offensive tackles inside now. Jermaine Illuminor has a kid. Congratulations. Love you, Jermaine. My right tackle. But Marcus Bowe comes in here with everybody else out. This guy's out. This guy's doing that. Stone Forsythe, whatever. And dominates against some good Jets pass rushers, Will McDonald being one of them. Marcus Bowe is showing as a rookie 5th round pick out of Purdue, not known to be like an instant translating school for NFL talent, not a pipeline of NFL talent, not to mention obviously Tyron Tracy, who did have a pretty good season last year as a rookie. But Marcus Bowe has the athletic profile, the smarts, and the work ethic to be a good ball player. And when the Giants needed him to step in and fill a spot, he did it at a high level. That's all you can ask for from a rookie. Carmen Brasil's doing a good job with him, man. He's learning. Greg Van Roten's being a pretty good leader. I saw that clip of him from the Sights and Sounds from last week. Love to see that. I'm really encouraged by what I'm seeing. I think my hot take right now, a little hot take for you. I think that Marcus Bowe will be the swing tackle for the Giants by midseason over James Hudson. That's my hot take right now. I don't think it's really that hot. I think that he actually is going to earn that job. And I think the Giants, if he keeps developing and getting reps and taking steps forward, will be our starting right tackle next year. And they'll save that money on Jermaine Illuminor and they'll apply it to somewhere else, maybe a center, depending on how JMS performs, or maybe another guard to replace Greg Van Roten. Who knows? But Bowe producing and becoming that starter, the cost efficiency you're going to have for the next 3 seasons after that at right tackle is going to be really fun, really great. Like, that's the type of stuff. You have cheap offensive linemen, it opens up a floodgate of funds. You know what I mean? Especially offensive tackles who can easily start to get into the 18, 19, $20 million ranges in the blink of an eye for slightly above average players, Anthony. We've seen it happen. You know what I mean? Having a really cheap starting right tackle that's playing well, there's not much more value you can get, from a position in the NFL.
Yeah, I'm really excited about the potential of Marcus Bowe. I think that you're right. I think he's going to be the swing tackle. Honestly, I would already view him as that. He's been that good at camp already. I think he's outperformed a lot of those guys. And you know what? It just feels like, remember, Alex, when we were live a couple of years ago reacting to the NFL draft, and Creed Humphrey was just falling down the board, and he fell so far. And I think he landed with the Chiefs, right? And we were like, why the Giants need an interior offensive lineman? Draft him. And he goes on to be one of the best centers in football. And then years later, Trey Smith is falling down the board. And we're like, why don't the Giants just take him? Well, we found out why they didn't. It's because he had blood clots, but the Chiefs took him, and now he's the best right guard in football. This is what that feels like to me. Now, we just need to see step 2 of this plan. Can he develop and actually be the absolute mega hit in the mid rounds for the Giants that we want him to be? But, it just has the vibe of those other offensive linemen who fell inexplicably in the draft and landed into the laps of another team. Now, this time, landed into the laps of the New York Giants. And hopefully, Marcus Bowe can be a starter for this team. And I really do believe in his potential and think that he will be. But outside of that, Alex, did anybody else stand out to you during the joint practice today? Final joint practice between the Giants and the Jets. And now the Giants open practices are done. Who stood out in this final one that we didn't mention for you?
I did like Beau Collins. I did mention him earlier, but for the most part, I will say this: like, we haven't heard much about John Michael Schmitz. Is that a good thing? You know what I mean? Is it a good thing that we haven't heard it? Because usually, like, when you don't hear about offensive linemen, like, that's usually indicates they're performing at least well. But we haven't heard him being great, and we haven't heard him being bad. So I guess he's just been decent. I guess we'll go with that. So, definitely something to keep an eye on. I saw Corey Black had a pass breakup. Tyler Nubin, he was off with trainers. He didn't participate in the team drills, but looked good before then. Who else? Anybody else that stood out? I saw Thomas Vidoni had a nice catch in traffic from Jackson Dart. So that was a nice one. But I think for the most part, like that, we covered the main storylines from this practice. And now we get to look ahead to Saturday night. And that's going to be a fun game. There's so much kind of riding for some of these players that we've discussed, especially the EDFAs, and get to see a little more Jackson Dart. And it's good stuff. This is a point in my Giants fandom over the last couple of years since we've started this podcast, Anthony, where I feel like genuinely optimistic, and I've like forced myself to be excited in the past, like forced myself to be optimistic and hopeful. But like, this team has talent. I know they may not be great this year because of the schedule and whatnot, but anything's possible in the NFL. Like, one injury and suddenly like that's an easier game. You never know. Like, and obviously never hoping for that, but the Giants have a good starting team. Like, their depth, there's some issues in the depth in some areas, but every team has that. They have a good talent on the starting sides of the ball. And I do believe that there is a bright future for Jackson Dart. And I, hope to see more compounding good days from him, but they have several superstars. Malik Neighbors is a bona fide superstar, right? Dexter Lawrence is a bona fide superstar. Just in terms of like how good they are. Abdul Carter could be one of, if not the best pass rusher in the NFL. That's how good he is. Like, he could be, Myles Garrett, obviously to me is like that guy, but like Abdul Carter has the like unique versatility that he could do so many things for this team and just be a deployable weapon in multiple facets. But this team has lots of talent. They just have to play as a team and get better gradually. And I think we're going to enter a window here where like we're watching competitive football for the next 5, 6, 7+ seasons. And that would be awesome because our young players, Jackson Dart is 22 years old, 22. You know what I mean? Like 22. He could be the franchise quarterback for this team for the next 10, 15 years. Like that's what that could look like. Abdul Carter, I think, is also like 22. You know what I mean? Like, these guys are so freaking young. The future is bright. Talent is there. I really like what Brian Dable's doing so far with the quarterbacks, and it seems like a really galvanized group. Vibes are up. Aura's probably the highest it's been in quite some time in terms of actual talent and upside. Just got to now stack those good days and actually compete against good teams, because those moments are really we're gonna inspire the group, and I think there's a lot to be excited about if you're a Giants fan right now. So I'm happy to be here with you guys to go through it. A much better season than ones in the past.
Wow, if you don't like hyperbole or over optimism, you don't like that. But no, I'm all the way with it. I love the positivity, and I am excited about this Giants team too. Honestly, I got a little bit emotional hearing Alex talk there, talking about how bright of a future the Giants have, how happy he is. I don't think I've ever heard him speak this way. We've been doing the show for 5 years, and this might be the happiest I've ever seen Alex. So that's exciting stuff. And all of what we've heard about the Giants this summer has been exciting, especially the stuff about my guy Jackson Dart, who all the way in January on this podcast, I told you guys to keep an eye on and said he could be the steal of the draft. Now he's here. He's a New York Giant, and we are very happy about that. And we are looking forward to watching him hopefully beat up on the Jets this Saturday night. So I'll remind you guys, I will be live on Saturday night. If you liked my touchdown call, little Jordan Humphrey touchdown, all that fun stuff, all the play-by-plays that I did this past Saturday, get ready for more this upcoming Saturday night. I can't wait for it. I'm really excited, not only about that game, but really just about this season. This is a better Giants team than what we've seen in the past. All the points that Alex made, I'll repeat them, or I'll at least back them up. So fun stuff here. Good times. Giants versus Jets joint practice. There also was a fight today. We didn't even mention that, but I just want to say I'm happy about it. I think it's good that the Giants are getting into fights at practice and bringing some intensity, because obviously you all know I've been very critical about their lack of intensity in practice over the last couple of seasons under Brian Dable. So they got a little intense today, got into a fight, and that to me is a good thing, although I probably credit the Jets and Aaron Glenn and his intensity for that fight breaking out. But hopefully we see some more intensity from the Giants, and hopefully we beat the Jets on Saturday. I know it's only a preseason game, but I don't care. I want to beat the little brother Jets. Catch you all on Saturday, but until then, make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, ring the bell so you don't miss an episode, comment your thoughts down below, listen on Apple or Spotify, leave us a 5-star review, go ahead and follow us on all of our social media channels at Fireside Giants. Without further ado, we'll catch you on the next one. Have a good one, and let's go Giants.